I'll never forget the day I got Diddy Kong Racing for my birthday and played it with my friends and cousin. As a kid, there was no greater feeling than receiving a video game as a gift. Socks for presents? Get that junk out of here. We would have ran around barefoot if it meant getting an extra game. But here's the thing, socks were a lot cheaper than a video game. Back then, games were often $60 or sometimes even more, and with inflation, yeah, it was pricey. So that meant generally only your parents would be willing to lay down that kind of dough on you, unless you were lucky. The point is, most kids didn't get very many games as gifts, and with no money of our own, which games we ended up getting were really important. And when it came to getting gifts, there were really only two opportunities for it. The holidays at the end of the year, and whenever your birthday was. So here's the situation. Two things have to go right for a successful gift. Criteria number one, you need to choose wisely which game you want. A lot of the time, we would have just chosen something a friend already had that we were sure was good. But if you wanted to get something different and new, you were taking a risk. Enter rookie mistake number one. Let's say you had just recently watched Ghostbusters and enjoyed yourself. So in your child brain, Ghostbusters can do no wrong, and you want the NES version of the game. You didn't do your research, you didn't make a smart decision. You lose. If there's one thing kids are known for, it's making well-informed and responsible decisions, right? Wrong. Okay, so that leads us to criteria number two. Let's say you did make a wise choice on which game you want. Now you need to properly relay that information to your parents so they buy the right game. The key is to be as specific and detailed as possible. So you told your mom you want that James Bond game. It's the only one out and she must know you have an N64, right? Well, not until she visits the local Blockbuster looking for deals on used games and stumbles upon this gem. Remembers you had a Sega at some point and calls it good. Now, most parents are more competent than that, but this sort of thing did happen. A simple solution to making sure they get the right game is to just go with them and point it out. But this could often lead kids to blowing criteria number one of choosing a good game. You see, back then there was no internet, and a very common method to choosing games was to just go off of the box art. Rookie mistake. Sure, there was an excitement and sense of wonder not knowing what you'd be getting, but that high would quickly burn off once you got home to play the game and realized you'd picked a turd. I know some people actually did have good luck with that tactic, but my point is that opportunities were limited and you really had to make the most of them. Something else I hear a lot nowadays is people who loved certain games as a kid and then realized they weren't very good once they got older. I think a lot of that is just the fact that kids were excited to be playing a video game, regardless of what it was. There were probably some kids who convinced themselves certain games were better than they actually were because, well, that's what they had. I mean, just imagine a kid excitedly opening up a game, even if it's not quite the right game. You think that kid is going to have the discipline to not open that sucker up and start playing it right away, so he can wait for a parent to drive that game back to the store for a return? Heck no. And then there was the even more rare instances of getting a brand new system as a gift. You better have chosen correctly because there was no going back on that choice. You know why the console wars were such a thing? It's because most kids didn't have any chance of their parents buying them a second console. So you swore and died by whichever console you picked. Now, sure, there were the occasional kids whose parents would buy them tons of games throughout the year. Didn't even need good grades or anything. Yeah, screw you, Tim. It was practically a life event, making some of those games extra special and providing some of our fondest gaming memories. One of my personal favorite memories happened somewhere around my 10th birthday. I was at Target with my older sister and she agreed to get the original Tony Hawk's Pro Skater for my birthday, right then and there. Now, It might have been because she wanted to play it, but I played the crap out of that game, and getting a game from a sibling was unheard of. It's actually the only original copy of a game remaining from my childhood. Okay, so now I want everybody to share their personal favorite memory of receiving a game as a gift, and I will see ya in the next video.